Hello, welcome to Climate Clock here on CNBC-TV18. I'm Sonal Bhutra, and with me someone today who we all know as a YouTuber, actor, a very well-known content creator, but something that I'm very proud of as well, that she is India's first United Nations Development Program Youth Climate Champion. Prajakta Koli, of course, you don't need to be actually, addressed or told to people who you are, but everyone knows. But about climate change, you completed a year with UNDP, right, recently. What was your experience like? What was the biggest takeaway? And what changes have you seen in that last 1 year as to how we actually look at climate change or address this bigger problem that you're facing?
Thank you for having me here, first of all. But I remember when UNDP reached out to me last year, I was very new in the whole climate change conversation. I started speaking about other things that are so close to my heart, like mental health or body positivity, girls' education, things like that, I think about 6 years ago. But climate change was a very new conversation. So when UNDP reached out, I was just like, why me? I have not even spoken about it that much. Like, I would like to, and that's when I realized that it's very silly of me to think that, because if I have a reach, if I have impact, then I don't necessarily have to be an expert on everything. I could be the vehicle where people who are experts can use to get conversations through. And that's where this beautiful collab with UNDP actually came through, and they were on board with that, where I was like, you know what, I will learn and I will try to speak as much about it from personal experience as much as I can, but I want to make this conversation relatable. I want to break it down, you know. When it comes to talking about climate change, it's always big words and it's statistics and it's pie charts and it's diagrams, and a lot of younger people online will not necessarily follow it as much as storytelling.
Yes.
You know, if it came through a story, if it came through a conversation, that would actually make a huge difference in converting that conversation to something that's more impactful. So for me, when it comes to talking about climate change, I try to be that person where I try to simplify conversations, make them as relatable as possible, go to places where these conversations are made, where big words are used and see how I can break them down to make them more palatable for the younger audience to understand.
That's so cool, right? Because as we were talking off air as well, that it's such a big I would say term, so to say, scientists, climate change, this and that. It's very easy for us to, it's very difficult for us to actually go ahead and talk about it. So how have you seen it changing as well in last 1 year that you've had your conversations? We know Gen Z, that's the one generation that's more active on social media, and that's where you can reach out to them as well. Do you think there is enough awareness in that generation, or more needs to be done here?
I mean, because the conversation is so new, I don't think we will ever have enough awareness. No amount of awareness about this is going to be enough. But having said that, the fact that there is awareness is also a huge step up. Because let's be real, we've been facing this for many years now, but it's only been in conversation now. So I'm just glad that we are late, but we are not
too late.
We're still there. There are still things that can be changed, things that can be reversed. And I'm very happy and proud about the fact that the younger generation, the younger people online are actually at the forefront of these conversations. So we can always have more awareness. Speaking of which, I think transcending it to different age groups, to different communities, to different languages, to different parts of the world, I think is what the next step is with these conversations. But I'm very glad that there's awareness for sure.
Yes, there is. And you know, that takes me to the next question, because we are talking about a lot of awareness, and we've been hearing about incidents where activists across the world have gone ahead, they're throwing oil on paintings, they're doing everything that's possible, soup. And this is at a time when we're talking about major food insecurity as well. As an influencer, do you think that's the right way to create awareness, or do you think there are better ways, right? Like, what is your take?
I mean, is that something I would do? No. I would not. And I hate to say it like that. I might, unpopular opinion, might get in trouble about it. But like, I'm just saying that somewhere the intent, not ever subscribing to that thought, but I'm saying the intent was eyeballs. The intent was getting people who are part of the problem to
see it,
turn and look, which somewhere I think was achieved. Could have been done a little less violently, I think. But you know, when you travel, I've had the pleasure of actually being in rooms where these things are discussed very passionately,
Right.
very loudly, where
Yeah.
things are said out loud and put on the table, and things are fought about, and things are demanded. And then you realize that it has impacted different people in different ways.
Right.
I mean, I find myself in a place of privilege where I get to talk about this from a place of being in power with UNDP,
Right.
and I talk, but I had the pleasure of actually meeting people who have lost their homes and who have lost their jobs and their careers and their family to a lot of things. And the place of passion that they come from, I will never be from that place. So I also get the different approaches that people have, and I would like to give it that respect. I will only speak about myself because I know where I come from and where I want to go. And like I said, for me, I think using my platforms, using my strengths of creating content, speaking about it, making it relatable, making it uncomplicated,
Right.
easier, smaller bites. I think that's how I would like to go about that.
So what's the next project that you're working on? Like anything, of course it's interesting, I wouldn't want to say that. It's very important, most importantly. Anything related to a specific sector or something in collaboration with UNDP that you're looking at?
I have very recently come to realize, so I come from a tribal community of fishermen. I'm a Koli, so I'm we were the tribal community of Mumbai. I happened to meet some activists very recently who work in their tribal regions, and I was very, very intrigued with the work that they do. So I'm actually going to have this discussion with UNDP very soon. Too bad if they hear about it here first. But one of the things that I really want to kind of put a little bit more might towards is kind of working with my community like that, kind of working from the coastal communities because they are really affected because of climate change. We have the quality of marine life has kind of been affected very, very badly, which has affected livelihoods, which has gone to unemployment, poverty, starvation. And although we have a few communities who have kind of picked themselves up and started farming and kind of made the whole village self-sufficient, but I feel like that model can be used on a lot of different communities, and I would like to see what I can do to kind of make that happen.
That's very interesting and something we can all relate to as well, right? We all stay in Mumbai. We've seen that community as well. So important for the city.
It's very close to my heart because that's what I'm from. So yeah, looking forward to it.
That's amazing. So the next question really is, what does Prajakta do on a daily basis? Since of course you said first, the question that you asked first is why me? But of course there is something that you must have been doing over years for UNDP to choose you as well, right? How do you ensure a sustainable lifestyle on a daily basis? It can be a smaller thing. What I believe is take care of small things and the bigger things will take care of themselves. So what do you do?
Definitely, I subscribe to the exact same thought. I think it'll be very silly of me to sit here thinking I'm going to be changing the world. It's stupid to think like that. I want to talk about what I do inside my home, and if all of us just take responsibility for us and our immediate family on a very nuclear, broken down level, the impact that will make is unquantifiable in a good way. Like it's going to be massive. For me, and I learned this from my parents, many, many years ago, even before I was taught this in school, I think. I've always seen my parents segregating waste. And sometimes we don't realize how important that is. It's as simple as having 2 different waste bins for wet and dry waste. We always had a compost pit in our little balcony. We have our own personal Amazon, and I have a feeling my parents kind of are more in love with their plants than they are with me because they're fed and nurtured much better. So there's a compost pit for them, and all our wet waste kind of from all the food that's cooked at my house goes there, and that's where the compost is made. We reuse the water that we use in cleaning vegetables or cleaning fish or other meat that is cooked in my house. So a lot of these things I saw at home. Many years ago I saw how we stopped using single-use plastics. We don't have plastic. I don't use, I mean, I try as much as I can to not use single-use plastics, no plastic bags. I will always carry my own bottle. I'll carry my own bag every time I go shopping or look for a paper bag, I think. And you know, a lot of times when you talk about sustainability, the thought that comes with it is that, "Arey, ye to ameeron ki baatein hain." Like, you know, it's expensive to have organic food. It's expensive to live a sustainable life. So I want to kind of make this conversation loud and clear everywhere I go that it's not. And it's also not a lot of effort.
Yeah.
You know, I get it, because many times a lot of young people will think, but it's not my job. Like, you know, people who have the bandwidth of doing it will do it. But that's not it. It's not a job. It is a lifestyle that we need to adapt to. And it's much easier than we sometimes think it is.
We make things complicated,
Yeah,
right?
right? It's so much easier. Like, just carry a bottle. That's it. Even if you just do that, stop littering. Just be a responsible citizen.
So that's what we're trying to do with this
Yeah.
conversation
Yes.
and the show as well.
Yes.
So Prajakta, it was a pleasure having
Thank
you here.
you.
Thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us and talking about this. It's very important for us, you, and I think it needs continuous conversation and action as well.
Yeah.
So thank you so much
Thank
for
you.
joining us. And with that, it's a wrap in this edition of Climate Clock. Stay tuned for more updates.